My name is Ulysses Youngblood. You know, just looking back at my life, I'm definitely like a happy kid at heart. You know, I still do some of the same things I did when I was 15, 14-year-old. How I would describe myself is like living out a dream, living with passion, living with a purpose for sure. Around 18, I moved here to go to Assumption College and play football. I kind of got indoctrinated with Worcester. I got my ass beat by the Worcester police. And when I was 19, and my mom was like, you need to move back home. So home for me is Bridgeport. That's where I was born, that's where I was raised. I spent a lot of time there. Just because that's the true story. Like, that's the real deal, that, you know, having 3 sisters that are older than me and one that's younger, they all smoke weed and introduced it to me at a young age. So my oldest sister, she's like, I want to say like 12 years older than me. And then I have 2 that are pretty closer to me in age. And actually my oldest sister is, you know, I mean, she's my full sister, but we have the same father. And she grew up in New York, in Queens, New York. So every time she would visit, you know, it'd be a trip to be able to like find weed for her, give her weed, you know what I mean? And then that hold true to my 2 sisters that live more close to me. Yeah, those are memories that you can't take back, like real influence of like getting violently high in my parents' driveway with my sisters. I went from that to moving to Worcester, and when I moved to Worcester, I had weed like all the time, like for my teammates, for my roommates. So I think, you know, part of me getting kicked out of school and being arrested, you know, that kind of played into the story of like, you know, really the influence I had from home and not letting that go, and then me getting in trouble. Like ultimately I got kicked out of school for weed-related offenses. So when that happened in 2007, Massachusetts had decriminalized cannabis in 2008. So I'm like, yo, I'm pissed that you guys kicked me out of school for something that's becoming more mainstream. So I took that experience and it kind of fueled me to want to get into the industry. That was probably one of the biggest challenges I had to face, is like, even though people were saying it's going to be hard and maybe you don't want to do it, because I also had a career, and I was making 6 figures as a sales manager. So even my own family, just like, you sure you know what you're doing? Yeah, I guess the biggest part of having a vision is knowing that it comes from somewhere other than your brain. You know, just having faith behind the vision and just being, you know, somewhat obsessive, like a healthy obsession towards it. You know, it's more than a dispensary. You know that, right? Yeah, you know that. I like to refer to it as the establishment. So if you say dispensary, that means that you're retailing, right? You're selling weed. And you know, we do more than that. We create weed products, right? We have a full kitchen, a full laboratory. So when you ask about, you know, what does it mean? To me, at heart, it's really about vertical integration and being able to produce product and not just sell it. To take it further than that, we also distribute cannabis to people's homes around Worcester for free. You know, asking the question what it stands for in the community is authenticity, you know what I mean? Like real storytelling around what we experience in our own community, like geographically, but then the larger cannabis community that people can relate to. Because I'm not the only one that's into weed because they're older siblings, you know what I'm saying? When I was 14, I used to videotape my church's sermons, and I always had an interesting perspective of like being up in the balcony and seeing how the whole service is orchestrated. So I think that kind of tapped into my like vision of like what it means to like capture something in real life, but then also being able to you know, create it and share it with other people, essentially. So it goes beyond just like opening your dispensary doors and selling weed. It's like, well, you know, why do people come in here and shop? It's more to create stories that people can connect to. During propaganda days, so cannabis has been illegal in federally since 1937, I think it was. So you have this propaganda that was imposed on us by the federal government, and they did so by content, right? Making like commercials that were like, you know, the Dare commercials. You remember the ones like if you smoke weed, you're gonna deflate and become a couch potato, right? So I think it's our job to reverse that with using the same mediums, whether it be print, whether it be video, whether it be audio, because that's what the government pushed on us. Yeah, well, I think one lesson they can take from me for being an entrepreneur is being true to themselves. You know what I mean? My kids are vastly different. My oldest, he's super quiet and kind of suppresses his thoughts at times, and my youngest one, and he's more polished though. My youngest one, he's brash and not polished. You know, so a combination of them two, of being able to express themselves, it's really about staying true, whether you're brash or whether you're more intentional about the words that you choose. As long as what you're saying is authentic and it's true to what you want, you know what I mean? I think that's more important than anything, because I, like I said, have an influence from both my parents, my sisters, 4 sisters, you know what I mean? That's been like a pillar for me to keep pushing forward with this entrepreneurship journey, even though it wasn't easy. Spending a lot of time alone. So when I'm not with my kids, or if I'm working from home, I see a therapist, you know what I mean, like often, to talk about what I'm going through with life. I like to work out, you know what I mean, sauna work, get massages, so really self-care, because I know if I take care of myself, I'll be able to take care of my kids and my business. So that's where I find a lot of balance. Even though it's stressful, you know, I really take intentional time to keep myself grounded. Legacy, to me, well, the first thing that comes to mind, honestly, is like, when I hear legacy, I think about the cannabis culture before legalization, you know, because to me, that's legacy, right? Like, 15, 20 years ago, we didn't have the luxury of going to dispensaries to get weed. You know your local dude, you know what I'm saying? You guys met in driveways or parking lots. You pull up at the crib, so I think for us is staying true to what that traditional market was, but obviously infusing it with new age, new laws, new regulations. The legacy for my kids is being able to have not only assets, but like tangible things that they can have for them, but then like also non-tangible things that they can refer to. So like being able to spend a lot of time with them, you know what I mean? Going on vacations. They can say, hey, Dad, you remember that time we did this or that experience? Between those two things, legacies to me is like, it's memories, but then also having tangible things that can be relatable for people to understand. Sell millions of dollars of weed, I'm still black, man. Can't remove that. But I think the greatest challenges that I've faced are definitely systemic, inherent prejudice and bias in the workplace. I don't have a lot of peers that are of color. There's not a lot of black owners in this space. It takes time, bro. Like, there's an Ice Cube clip where he's like, yo, if you're not ready to do what you want to achieve without being paid for 5 years, then don't do it. I don't know Ice Cube. He doesn't know my story. I literally went through that. Like, I started working on this project in 2017. We didn't start making money until 2021. I wrote about stuff in 2017 that is just now coming to fruition. Like, legitimately, like in a dark room in my basement by myself after putting my kids to sleep, just spending time writing about stuff that I'm just now doing today. And live streaming is one of it, And I had way more people that didn't believe in me or didn't see the vision. But all it really took was just a few people that believed in me, you know what I mean? I'm putting the work in, so the work can speak for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like, I told you so, or like, yo, why did you do that to me? Why did you do that to this situation? It's like, no, like, I'm gonna let you stay there with your perspective, and you might think that you have one up on the situation, but I'm staying down and working, and the work's gonna speak for it. So what I want people to remember is that there are gonna be times where it looks like you're down and you're losing, you know what I'm saying? However, you just gotta you have to get back up and you have to keep working. That word it's not coming from me, you know what I'm saying? So I think you're exactly right. Like, you have a choice to do something or not do something. So when I have repeated instances of whether it's words, whether it's things happening to me in my life, the choice is to do something about it or to ignore it. You know what I mean? I chose to do something about it.